Matt, hello.
How are you?
I am great. Gavin.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I'm good as well. I'm good.
I have some energy today.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, you actually had some pretty cool stuff. You're a little bit of tidbit about you. You're in the house life. You're looking for to move on to the next chapter of your life, find a house,
Yeah.
build a family, build a future.
Strictly in Brazil.
This is Brazil. You know,
That was a good one.
From the
Yeah. Was that your Brazilian accent impression?
Hola, ¿cómo estás, amigo?
Yeah. All right.
Así, te viene la día.
This is like what being white is like. I think.
What?
This is like that. That's like if somebody, like if like being white is in the dictionary.
It just Matt.
Yeah.
Okay, take us away, sir. What is our topic today?
Today, I figured we would do a little touch
Oi.
on the Trump case.
Yeah.
See what's going on there. Big verdict came in. Trump got indicted on 34. He was convicted on 34 felonies.
Yeah, man.
Over 34. Not great. I'm
No, you're not.
just saying.
I watched like the video, and it was like, I feel it was like 7 minutes long, whatever it was, and they went through every single part of the case and was like, count 1,
Yep.
guilty.
Yep.
Count 2, guilty. 34 times.
Yeah.
I looked at they got happier each time they said the next one.
Yeah, they were pretty pumped, it looked like. But he was going up against, he was facing like fraud, election subversion and obstruction, things like that. So, right now, will he face prison time? It's kind of up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I do think he's going to be in some sort of an incarceration situation. The only reason I don't think so is because of a couple of different things. I think the people that are trying to incarcerate him, people that are trying to convict him, are looking to besmirch the name, besmirch the brand, and kind of do all that kind of stuff and really kind of have some political gunfire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you look back in 2016, when it was Hillary and Trump, it was the massive divide. Like my grandmother still loves Hillary Clinton, right?
Right.
And the Clintons are the Clintons. But the thing that blows my mind is that was such a controversial election. Then you take into account you're now in 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's running for re-election, and there's all this stuff. There's protests. You had the George Floyd situation. You had COVID. And it's already a heated debate and already a heated election. And there was voter fraud on both sides,
Yeah.
No one is innocent, But I think this year it's going to be interesting because the only thing that I worry is that we don't forget the aspect of we're all Americans, like we're all people,
Yeah.
And what worries me is we're losing that sense of identity to where we are all people instead of all just enemies,
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of been going out the window for a while now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember back in 2015 doing my senior project on on the riots that were happening in Baltimore and things like that, based on the police brutality and things going on at that time. That was like late October of 2015. I think it was in Chicago as well, and that was all the way back then. That was almost 10 years ago, and now.
Well, yeah, it really was, but yeah.
Yeah, and now we're looking at the same thing happening every couple years. And when 2016 rolled around, I remember people definitely didn't think Trump was going to win. They thought Hillary had it literally in the bag, and
she wasn't locked in, as the kids say.
Yeah, she was locked
in.
And I remember everyone just assuming that she was going to be the president of the United States, and Then when he won, the backlash off of that, I mean that might have been the worst case of backlash for a presidential election ever.
Because were you able to vote?
Yeah,
You were able to vote.
well,
Okay.
yeah, because I was 18.
Right. That's why. Because I know you have like a year and a half or something like that over me. Because I remember in 2016, when that happened. I think I was just 17 because it would happen in November. So I think it was 16 or just turned 17.
Yeah, because I turned 18 in late June of 16.
Yeah, because I turned 17 in September of late 2016.
Yeah,
So I wasn't able to.
right.
And I remember obviously having my side that I mentally chose, and I detest that woman. I think most people have that opinion.
Yeah, I don't think she has a great track record, especially with the emails. And I mean, she even had the issues when she was she Secretary of State?
Yeah.
And things like that. So she doesn't have the best record. She'd been in politics forever. Her husband's been in politics forever. He was a president, and well, he really brought the people to their knees.
There's actually a great photo. I mean, obviously in that photo, Monica Lewinsky wasn't in there that we know of.
Yeah,
But you know what I'm talking about? Where it's kind of like how the situation we're in right now. Like he's sitting at a desk, and the meme is like, "There's two people in this photo, but they'll never know."
It was like one that I saw was like him and Hillary. He was like standing there, and Hillary's next to him, I think, and it was like, man, he's the first president to have his wife and his girlfriend in the same feed on national TV, but it was just him and Hillary. Like, you know what I mean? It's like with the podium. But and then he was in the Eminem music video. So, or it was portrayed in the Eminem music video.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no. So, moving on for this stuff. Yeah. So Trump just got elected. Yeah, he just got convicted, and I mean, I can't say that I'm surprised. And for the outcome based on who was bringing it against him and kind of the situation he found himself in. But what I'm going to be looking at is this is off of The Atlantic. This is going to be just kind of like a guide through all of his convictions. And I'm not going to go through every one. I'm just going to kind of skim through and see what's going on and what kind of the main ones are.
Okay.
Because like I said, he had stuff to do with, he had like fraud in New York. He had the defamation case, the sexual assault case. So let me go ahead and do this. So the first one that I see here is the Manhattan defamation and sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for everybody. You can go on the Atlantic.com to see this. They say it's being updated through the course of the case, and with anything that goes on, they will update the website in due time. So when it happens. So what it says here is, although these other cases are all brought by government entities, Trump also faced a pair of defamation suits from the writer E. Jean Carroll, who said that Trump sexually assaulted her in a department store dressing room in the 1990s. When he denied it, she sued him for defamation and later added a battery claim. So, last month it was concluded by a jury that Trump had sexually assaulted and defamed Carroll and awarded her $5 million. And then a second defamation case produced an $83.3 million judgment back in January of this year. So, it says, how grave was the allegation? And it says, although these cases didn't directly connect to the same fundamental issues of rule of law and democratic governance that some of the criminal cases do, they were a serious matter, and a federal judge's blunt statement that Trump raped Carroll has gone underappreciated. So, I remember that when that was in the news back in 2022.
Yeah. It's interesting because you brought up a good thing that, what was that sentence you said in the car on our way here? It was if you read the news, you're informed.
Oh yeah.
But if you read the
Denzel
news, you're
thing?
missing. Yeah, Denzel Washington. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. If you do watch the news, you're misinformed.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, you want to hope that justice was done, because you don't want anyone to be raped or be touched or unwanted things of that nature. But with everything going on, you have to kind of look at it and go, what really is happening? And if that happened, then
Right.
that's on him.
Right.
Gotta figure out a way to figure out his punishment and his judgment. But so then looking on the same website that you're looking on was the Manhattan hush money. So in March of 2023, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Greganites became the first prosecutor to bring felony charges against Trump, alleging that the former president falsified business records as part of a scheme to pay hush money to women who they had sexual relationships with Trump. So that trial began on April 15th and ended on May 30th, which was the conviction. The sentencing is scheduled for July 11th, I'm assuming, for this year, because everything that's on here is updated as of, today? How grave was this allegation? I do like that The Atlantic does this, because it kind of puts things in perspective. A lot of the stuff that you and I were looking up just very recently was there's this and this and this. They didn't really explain it. Plus, this also kind of adds to all the situations and how it pertains to public image and what's going on. Many people have antagonized this case as Al Capone's conviction on tax evasion.
Yeah.
It's not that he didn't deserve it, but it wasn't really why he was an infamous villain. Trump did deserve it, and he is now a convicted felon. Moreover, although the charges were about falsifying records, these records have falsified to keep information from the public as it is voted in 2016's election. It was among the first of Trump's many attacks on the fair elections, quote unquote. His two impeachments were also efforts to undermine the electoral process. If at times this case felt more minor compared to the election subversion or classified document cases, it's because of those cases that have set such a grossly high standard for the continuous gravity. So, I don't know. My only thing with this is I wish they took more of a subjective or a unbiased direction towards this journalism, because this is the whole thing with this whole election and the whole conviction is they keep allocating it and putting this is that and this looks like this and this looks like that, and they're comparing it to Al Capone's conviction on tax evasion. It just it's not that, and it's not this. And this is the one problem that I think, whether you're left or right or intermediate, you're looking for confirmation bias, and these people are kind of giving it to you.
Right.
Because for someone who's just looking for the facts in the case, they want to go, okay, what are the allegations? This is conviction. Why? What are the facts? And then they're going to go, why is this allegation so grave? Which is good for them to say how it pertains to the social atmosphere. It's also not great to then go, comparing it to Al Capone's tax evasion and all that kind of stuff. So it makes them look like they're trying to paint a picture.
So yeah, it's it's very difficult to say. I don't remember exactly where I left off, but yeah, no. So the thing that frustrates me is it's saying especially it happened back in this 2016 election too. It's like, hey, by the way, we forgot that back in 1988 you did this, and you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. It's like, dude, you are really kind of grasping at straws here, I feel like, for him to not be the president. But then what I don't understand is, why is it, if not him, okay, why then are we just assuming, why is it okay that Biden's the president? You know what I mean? Because clearly he's not a good president. I mean, and you can...
awake.
Or a good person. Or, his son is on drugs all the time, flaunting it on social media, literally doing heroin, getting, clearly, for about as clear as you can get without actually knowing 100% of the thing, or the 100% of the evidence. All the signs were pointing that he was doing drugs in the White House. Biden. It was it was put out there that Biden had ties to China while he was the vice president.
Yeah.
You know, like see, they're breaking the law like tenfold over here, and nobody cares because it's more of a popular opinion to shit on Trump and say, hey, because they would rather keep, and they're going to keep they're going to try to keep the power no matter what. And it's the same thing that happened with Hillary. And people always want to say, oh, well, when Biden won, you couldn't accept that, and he said they needed a recount, and they needed this, and they weren't accepting it, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, it's not, every election you see overnight at like 3 in the morning, they elect like 500,000 ballots cast. You know what I mean? Like counted.
It was.
You know what I mean? Like it was a very steep change. It was like I'm pretty sure they had already like crested. Like it was already and then the graph just spikes up.
I remember, I'll never forget it, dude. I remember like stalking it because I was so nervous.
Yeah.
I was so nervous. I really was, truthfully. And you guys can hate me for having this opinion. That's fine. I feel a lot of people that I know that didn't think the same way think this way now. But I was so nervous. And then when I woke up and I saw that, I remember like Ben, like what happened?
Yeah.
We all went to bed.
Because I remember watching it and being like,
Dave Portnoy.
They got this in the bag.
Dave Portnoy had to put his foot in his mouth.
Yeah.
I remember, because when I saw that video that Dave Portnoy put out, was, you know what, going to be the first one to call it. Yeah, I'm sure you saw the video. Yeah. And then the next morning he put his foot in his mouth. I'm like, dude.
Well, yeah, because nobody expected it. It was like a joke. It was like, it went straight up. Like it was like crested and then it went straight upwards. It was insane. Like it was the amount of and then all the videos that were coming out that nobody cared about, where you had people with GoPros on their chests going into election centers and being like, "Hey, I'd like to, I'd like to vote, please." And they're like, "Oh yeah, do you have your ID?" And they're like, "No." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And just handing them a ballot. And
I didn't see this.
It was all over TikTok and Twitter back in like 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
People just kind of didn't care. And then every year it's another thing. Like 2020 was COVID, right? 2019 and 2020 was COVID. And then 2021 was talking all about the riots and about the January 6th thing. And then 2022 was still about COVID. But then, also TikTok is now kind of a potential problem. In 2023 is now TikTok is the worst thing ever. We need to get it banned. They're spying on you. And now we're here, even though everybody uses Facebook, which has been convicted of spying on people. So.
And this is something that I want to bring up, too, about this whole Trump thing. And, like, if all this is, like, legit, then so be it, like I said before. But...
So would that change how you vote?
If it's one of those things where I think most people in this election are between a rock and a hard place. Yeah. So I'm not voting. I can't vote for Biden.
Yeah.
So then I only have one other option, right? But if you look at the case of Emma Goldman, was in prison for her 2 years and then deported by the U.S. government for her opposition of the First World War. So, and then you have Antonio Gramansky, was a leftist Italian writer and political activist who was jailed and spent up to 8 years in prison, and he was released conditionally due to his health situation and died shortly after. These are all cases of politically targeted people sent to jail and dealt with to kind of like shoo away what the people call a problem.
Yeah.
And you see it a lot where it's like they have this opposition, and you saw in the polls, you have voters who didn't want anything to do with Trump back in 2020, and he was up it was like 22% of a differential, and how else do you try to alienate him from people who are like sort of leaning the other way? Give him indictments, get him convicted.
Yeah.
Because the people, I can guarantee you, the people who were like, oh, I really can't deal with Biden. I can't do it anymore. I'm paying all this much money. Living expenses are through the roof. And, like he's fallen down. He's like jumbling. He doesn't have his words straight. And they're like, you know what? Maybe I'll vote for Trump.
Yeah. There's a whole TikTok. There's like TikTok accounts talking about how people are going from voting blue to voting red.
Yeah.
And like making the change and
I think they're trying to minimize that.
Oh yeah. Well, because think about it, right? Like right now they have the power. They have all the power. Like they hold the seats, they hold the numbers. They have the White House. So and what are we seeing in that time frame? What are we seeing happening? Our money, our taxpayer dollars are being shipped overseas. Our jobs are so drying up, right? Political tension and societal tension is at an all-time high still. You still have gun violence. You still have school shootings. You still have like nothing has gotten better since 2020, and really nothing is. And the thing is, things were getting better in a lot of different ways, and they were also getting worse in a lot of different ways. Like I said before, so. But I just remember living life in under like the Trump administration and now under the Biden administration. And I gotta say, people just seem to be a lot more happier 5 years ago, 10 or 6 or 7 years ago. I didn't see people so distraught back then and so like, what am I going to do? Because you have people that are my age, our age, or older, or younger, like. I know like 18-year-olds that are like, dude, what am I going to do? What is the point of going to school? To do what? Like, what's the point of trying to get a house, trying to get a car? Like, what is the point of it all? You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
and now you're seeing a lot of people like in our position where like we're grown-ass adults with jobs and we're still staying at home.
Yeah. And even if you look back at like look at all the popular like TV shows from like the 90s, the 80s, whatever, early 2000s. It's like Friends or Seinfeld or stuff along those lines. It's like they were living, they were working good jobs, living together in nice cities, or I guess in New York. Making what we make, or a little more, or less. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a sitcom, it's a show, whatever, but it's based on reality. That was what people were doing.
Yeah, that's why people liked it. And I remember what 8 years ago, if you were making 120K, you're living large.
Yeah.
You are living large. And now it's like to provide for your family, you make at least 100K.
Did you see? Hold on, let me look up the breakdown. Minimum.
While you look that up, I do want to talk about one more thing before you do that. One of the other indictments for Indictment 2 was the classified documents that apparently he took to his little compound situation. So this one, former President Trump, second indictment came on June 9th when a grand jury accused him of illegally retaining classified information he left at his home office, showing some of these documents to individuals without proper clearance and hatching a plan to hide the materials from officials to defiance of the federal subpoena. Trump was arraigned on June 13th at a federal courthouse in Miami before the new charges were unveiled in its indictment in July. This case was brought to the Department of Justice, and the counselor was Jack Smith and is overseen by the U.S. District Judge Aline Cannon, the infamous. But that was another thing. I know you're going to talk about the median age, or the median what's it called, household income. But I did want to talk about that real quick while you were looking that up, because that's also interesting too. Because almost every other president that has left office has taken something, or have kept some in files, or kept a copy. But when someone else does it, it's not a problem,
right?
Because they're an outsider. But go ahead, sorry.
No, and I agree with you.
Fill the air too while you were doing that.
I agree with you, because I think also too, it's I'm looking into. I was trying to see before whether or not Trump was going to, what the consensus was on whether or not he was going to go to prison or not.
Yeah.
It's still kind of up in the air. So, he even if he does get elected, he could be sent to jail or prison. So. That's pretty insane.
He can pardon himself too.
He can pardon himself, yeah, but I don't know if I don't know how it would work if you get if you get sent to prison before you're elected, and then you're voted into office.
Because they were saying, where was it? I saw it here, that he can still run the country from prison.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, the movies thought it was crazy to run a crime syndicate from prison. This man's running the country. But no, so
that's what it was.
Mar-a-Lago. There we go. So to kind of give you an idea of why people are so frustrated, I'm just going to go down some of the names or some of the states here that just are the first website that I found just for the income needed to buy a home in said state. Alabama. Let's go ahead and give me some of your guesses. How much money do you think you need to make in Alabama?
$70K.
Actually, less. $64,163.
Damn.
How much money do you think you need to make in Alaska to be able to afford a house?
55.
$106,279. 2023 average home values in Alaska was $357,000, and the monthly average mortgage payment was $2,065.86.
Holy shit!
Arizona, what do you think we're working with in Arizona?
110.
110. Oof. 96,000.
Okay.
Average home value was $420,605. Arkansas was down there at the bottom, or down there pretty low at only 60,000, right? But now, mind you, these are all more than we make.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think California is?
It's got to be like 150.
148,908.
I was close.
$148,908. The average home value in 2023 was $748,161, with the monthly mortgage payment being $4,148.16.
Wow.
This one surprised me. Colorado. What do you think Colorado's at?
A lot of people move there. It's a 420 state. It's nice areas. We were just driving down there. I'm gonna say 108.
Oh, 111.
Wow, I'm getting pretty close.
Yeah, 111.
Okay.
And Connecticut's up there at 103.
Yeah, I know Connecticut's a pretty. Yeah.
Delaware surprised me at only 89. Florida surprised me the most.
What are they at, like 60?
95. I thought Florida would be kind of in California territory.
I can't say I would have disagreed with you. I do think a lot of the areas in Florida, though, kind of work with a lot of homeowners and buyers, only because of the fact that, like, certain property. Maybe I'm talking to my ass. I don't necessarily know. I saw a couple like videos on it, but I can't really speak on it too much because I don't know that area.
Well, one of the things that I get most frustrated with is you ever see those things from like Grant Cardone and what's the other guy's name? The bald guy, the money guy.
Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey. Where they're like, what you need to do to save as much money in your 20s as you can, be able to afford a house and financially free yourself, is you need to stop buying that $6 cup of coffee every day, and you need to stop paying for Netflix, and you need to stop eating out. You know what I mean? And now we're seeing, and then they're looking. It's like, well, when did you buy your home? Oh, in 1982. Well, how much? $30,000. Oh, cool, sick. Mine's $500,000. You know what I mean? Like, what do you?
No, you're not wrong.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like I'm obviously, take it with a grain of salt because I was a lot younger and I was in school and stuff. But I just don't remember seeing this much like unrest and uneasiness with paying bills and buying homes. And you see it all the time on TikTok. All the people talking about like the car dealerships are struggling because nobody wants to buy a car because through COVID they screwed everybody, and now they're reaping the consequences of that.
Well, look at the conversation you just had with the realtor no less than an hour ago.
Yeah.
She was saying the same thing you're saying right now.
Dude,
it's not even like the fact that we're seeing it on TikTok and it's, the internet's saying this, you can't trust the internet.
Yeah.
No, a reputable realtor is saying the same things you're saying.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the market's volatile right now. It's really bad. It's all shit. But these are just, and you can even look up the numbers, just kind of see what's going on. Like, like the increase of how much have things gone up over time? How bad is inflation? How just in the past 5 years, and let's see, like I should look it up for you. Rise of inflation.
My only thing is, all these things that they haven't also touched on either, but I think with all this kind of going on with Trump, with how things were when he was in office, and how much people always joked about, like, especially in the black community when they hated him,
Yeah.
they're like, you know what, like I like when gas was $1.80, and like that's like the big joke, and and it's not necessarily like a race thing. It's just like you're seeing a big switch, but it's like when you have all these people, white, black, brown, it doesn't matter. They're all people. They're all Americans. They're all good people. And you're starting to see the people who didn't like him flip.
Yeah.
You have to do something big. They've been trying to put him in jail for I don't know how long. Then the other ones didn't stick, and then like the impeachment happened. But the impeachment was literally one. It was a partisan decision.
Yeah.
And then obviously it never was enacted because I forget. I think it was the House. The House, or did it go to the Senate first? I forget. Either way, it didn't stick. So what do you do? You put the guy in jail.
Okay, so let me ask you this: do you think what do you think would do you think at this point is there anything that could sway you to not vote for Trump for the next election? Not saying that you would vote for would you really, what would it take for you to abstain? Because I don't think you're gonna switch over to
I think pedophilia.
Okay.
Like touching kids.
Yeah.
I think embezzlement to his own situation, like from like working class people, quote unquote us.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the two big things that would definitely. I mean, like, I can't imagine voting for anyone that would want to touch a child.
Well, of course. But now let me ask you this: do you,
Okay.
and this is something I was thinking about. Do you think now? Let's say he braves the storm and he comes out of this thing on top. He gets elected to the office, and this time by next year, we're looking at this as like whoa, that was a crazy thing that happened. Do you think if he gets elected, he's gonna and he comes out the other side as unscathed as possible? Do you think he's gonna kind of make poor decisions in spite of the things that were done to him?
This is going to sound controversial, but I don't think so. Only because I would hope that someone who's getting this much scrutiny and having this much support, I think he would hope to reward and like build everything better, because he already proved that he can build a better economy. So for him building different businesses and he might look at it from a business standpoint, I'm going to rebuild this instead of trying to target. He probably is going to take some retaliation.
Yeah.
But in my heart of hearts, I don't know if he will actually physically make his 4 years a complete rainstorm of just hellfire missiles on the Dems.
Yeah.
I just wish everyone kind of takes everything in stride. But the biggest thing that I really worry about is, like, I just hope this isn't going to turn into a situation where something big is going to happen. I've been talking about it a while, and so you have, where something big is going to happen to the point where the people have no choice but to band together, and that's what unify over a big war or some big situation that we all have to, like, okay, this is not a left or right issue. Like, we as working class, we as people, we the people, are now having to stand up and fight against something, and then this doesn't turn into a cataclysmic event because we are in the 80th year.
Well, do you think that kind of thing could happen? Like, do you think, like, if
I definitely think it's possible.
Like,
I mean,
well, I'm saying, like, right now, the way the country is, like, how divided we are. Do you think, like, right now, if a country was like, we're waging war in America, and America had to go fight in another world war broke out, we would be able to band together? Do you think everything would kind of go to shit here and then?
It's like a bruise. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. What do you think? Do you think that America, people, citizens, have the wherewithal to go, you're my brother, you're my sister?
I don't know. I don't think I hesitate to say no because it sounds really bad and it's in poor taste to say, oh, because we've never experienced a world full of that. Like we've never experienced a draft, or like we've lived through wars, obviously, but not a world war, right? So we don't really know what that entails and how the country handled it. I'm sure we can talk to our grandparents about it because they were alive. But I just don't. It's just right now the country is so divided that it really scares me because people are, especially after COVID. Like I think when I was in high school, I remember the rioting and the civil unrest between the police and the African American community was getting worse and worse and worse. And then you had people standing there trying to be objective about it and not making anything better. And I just remember, right before Trump got elected, like everything was starting to really hit the heights of what at that point,
No, you're not
the
wrong.
rioting and things like that, and the protests and the looting and the frustration everybody seemed to feel, towards that specific subject. And then when Trump got elected, I mean, people were having meltdowns like in the middle of the street, like people were freaking out about him being elected, and it was at that point that it went from we are people trying to solve a problem, whether that be like a community trying to go against like racial, discrimination or against police brutality,
which is wrong.
Of course,
yes, absolutely.
To you are either a Trump supporter or you're a Trump, or you're not, like you're a Trump whatever. So it was either you're part of the MAGA movement or you're not, right? And I think that was the point where the country took a really, 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 really bad turn, societal, through society, because obviously people that live in the cities and stuff have to deal with each other and have to coexist. And there's obviously parts of the country and parts of inner cities, like the major cities that are great and you can have a good time, but they're not safe. Like New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, like they're not safe places to be. No. Even Texas, even parts of like Dallas, things along those lines. Like they're just not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's cool is.
But no, to answer your question, no, I don't think if a World War III broke out, I don't think the country would just stand together and go, you know what, we'll put all our stuff on pause, because I think this is the generation, the past few generations, like 2 generations, including ours, don't have the wherewithal to be able to swallow that pill.
You know what I think we should do for the next podcast? I'll reread it, but I think we should do a book review on The Fourth Turning.
Yeah.
Shout out Ben and Mr. D'Arc for showing me that book. But as I've talked before, like we are in the 80th year, and we're in the Fourth Turning. And every 80 years something happens. You could trace it back to World War II, and then you had so.
That's no good.
And it's kind of cool because what's also interesting is they always talk about how the people who started the Constitution.
But nothing even happened in the 1920s.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was, World War I had ended. Well, World War II wasn't for another like 15 years. So nothing even happened.
Yeah.
Nothing even happened.
Yeah. No. No. It's all normal.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see how everyone goes, oh, well, like talking about like the Second Amendment. They were all talking about muskets. They could not have been smart enough at that time to think about what life would be like now. But George Washington said that the two-party system, and I'm paraphrasing, mind me, the two-party system will destroy democracy.
Yeah.
Again, paraphrasing, but I can look up the exact quote if everyone wants me to. I can put it up. But he had enough wherewithal and enough knowledge at his age and at that time to know that this would be bad. And now you've seen in the last 20 years how much it's like, you and I always joke like, oh, they're red or they're blue. Like we always joke around about it, but it's like, it's really starting to like divide. Or and it's, what's the other quote? A country divided is easier to conquer than a country together or something like that. Yeah.
Well, it's also because look at the stuff that just in our lifetime that we've lived through. Yeah. Right, you got the war on like the what would you say, like not the war on drugs, because that was like the 80s, but like the invasion of the the Middle Eastern countries like Afghanistan, Iraq,
Civil unrest.
Civil unrest there. The just the presidents that we've had, right? We've had Bush, we've had Clinton, Bush. Well,
George W.
Yeah, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden.
Yeah.
Only 5 in 25 years.
Oh, Hillary Clinton, though. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
Only 5 in 25 years. But we've had we've lived through 9/11. We lived through the Boston bombings. However, how many school shootings? The 2008 massacre at the Joker or the Batman movie. Sandy Hook. The list goes on of all these major things we've lived through in our lives that we've kind of grown up just kind of like observing. And now it's coming to a point where it's like, it just get the real feel of the streets is that things are going to be bad for a while.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody coming together and saying we're going to get through this. And hopefully at the next election, things get better no matter who the president becomes.
Are we still allowed to cry in the walk-in if we get sad?
Yeah, totally. Just don't let anybody see you.
Nice. Okay.
But yeah, man, I think right now, I think America is really divided, and I think this Trump case solved no issues for anybody, because I think it just added it stirred up the pot, and obviously you want to see anybody that commits wrongdoing get justice brought to them, but to me, this doesn't seem like that is the driving force. It just seems more like a witch hunt so that people are swayed and don't vote for him.
Yeah.
That's just how it feels to me.
No, dude, it's well said. And I just hope it all kind of gets resolved or some kind of resolution happens. But I guess we'll have to give them more updates when we get updates.
Yeah. I guess it's time to treat this like a burrito and wrap it up.
Should that be our shtick?
We could be. Could be our shtick. I like shticks.
I hate you every day. Until next time, guys.